Located in Lawrence County, Mitchell, Indiana is home to both the famous and the infamous.
In addition to the town's heroes and villains, there is a house with a reputation of its own. Built before the turn of the 20th century, Whispers Estate is nestled away in the heart of the community at 714 West Warren Street. But it's not an ordinary house, as it has a history rich in death and tragedy. The house has been extensively investigated by those interested in the paranormal. Many report hearing whispers in the house, which has garnered the house its name, Whispers Estate. Are the stories of the haunting activities the mere imagination of those reporting them? Or do they really take place? This, my friend, is the reason that we are here.
What you're about to witness is actual audio and video footage from our own investigation into what takes place at Whispers Estate.
You will see and hear the events as they took place and will be able to decide for yourself if the house is truly haunted. All right, here we go, August 11th, and Larry Wilson and I are headed to Whispers Estate. One thing about this place that I think that stands out to Larry and I right now is that the reports and stuff that we have read and seen, Larry, there is possibly some negative stuff that goes on in this home.
That's the story, but we'll find out for ourselves if that's true.
Thanks to our pals at Green Hyundai here for making this trip happen. You know, Larry, we can't thank them enough.
They've been really good to us over the years, and we're happy to have them as a sponsor. So
yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, Whispers Estates, where's this located in?
It's in Mitchell, Indiana, about 4.5 hours from Springfield.
Mitchell, Indiana. All right, so I'll be going to sleep here in just a little bit, and Larry will wake me up when we get there. I'm just stopping because I want to get a wide view of you.
Get a shot of that.
Oh yeah, it's a creepy picture. And again, explain what that was, Larry.
Well, one of the people that lived here actually had a dream, and this is what they saw. Actually, I take that back. They weren't sure that it was a dream. They claimed they actually saw two things, and this is what it looked like.
Now in color, because we're in night vision right now, guys, it's blue. We'll get a picture of it and put it up on the website. It looks like, you know what it reminds me of, Larry? Is that Tony Pickman.
What he drew.
Yeah. Well, not what he drew, but I mean what he sees and what he does.
But he also recreated what he saw.
Yeah.
And the ladies told us tonight of some kind of unusual things that have happened, and
right.
This may be what caused it.
All right, we're going to take a trip now into the Red Room, but before we do that, Larry, there was a seance room up there, too, that we spent some time in. You and I really didn't get any activity while we were there. I didn't really even get any bad feelings in that room at all.
No.
But there were some stories that were told to us about that room.
Yeah, probably the time we were there anyway, that was one of the few rooms that we didn't really have any unusual feelings, but the two ladies that gave us the walkthrough, they both were shy of that place.
Yeah, do you remember the story she was telling us?
I do. Yeah. It was a sort of a tour group that night, and she was one of the ladies was upstairs with the tour group in the seance area. The owner of the house was downstairs at the time, and from what she said was that just out of the blue, what she described as a banshee type scream, and it was a voice that kept screaming, and she said it kept screaming until they headed downstairs. The owner heard him coming downstairs, thought definitely something was wrong just because of the racket of them coming downstairs, but the owner didn't hear the scream. And you know as well as I do, in that house, no matter where you are, you should hear somebody screaming in the house.
Right, and they had told us too that in that seance room, people do things they're not supposed to do. They've taken Ouija boards up there. They've actually held candle, ceremonies up there as well. There's a big giant mirror that's on one wall of that room, and it's a very, very creepy room. And there's nowhere to go in that room, But again, that would be something that I think would really put the hairs up on your neck if you heard any type of screaming like that.
Yeah, and if that story's true, and we have no reason not to believe them, because actually they were really hesitant to tell us these stories. we more or less had to drag it out.
Yeah, and they wouldn't go upstairs.
No, they wouldn't go up. They wouldn't go up to the attic, and they wouldn't go to the basement.
No.
So we could tell there was something definitely happened, and they'd experienced some things in the house that weren't on the positive.
That's
side.
right. And just across from that seance room, though, is the Red Room. Now, do you remember the history of the Red Room at all?
I don't remember the actual history other than it's now used for a bedroom.
I remember it was a room that they had blocked off, and they had to open it back up for some reason.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't think they're actually sure why it was blocked off, unless back in the day it just wasn't a
right,
space.
Right. Because most of the living and most of the I think people that were in that house were down in the lower level with the doctors. So I remember them telling us that there's reports of people that they would take care of them, and then they would live upstairs in those areas. The kids would play upstairs in those areas. So
right.
Gosh knows what all went down in that Red Room. But we've got pretty good video of a story that happened to one of the women there, and you're going to read that on the video, and then you yourself experience a little bit of uneasiness in that bed.
It was sort of similar to what she said, not to the extent of her story, but I experienced some of what she had explained.
Remember, she had something happen and she wrote it on the wall or something?
Yeah. I bet it's here.
Huh?
Here. Gwen's Experience by Gwen Ziegler. September 19th, 2010. I hope I can make it clear just how horrific this encounter was for me. For your information, this whole experience happened within a 12-minute time frame. I went to the attic at approximately 6:35 a.m. and shut the door behind me. I heard the door click shut. I chose not to lock it. At 6:38 a.m., I texted my friend, Jenny, that I was going to sleep in the attic. I laid down on the bed, never getting under the blankets. I had my phone, glasses, and a flashlight besides me. I heard a pop. I heard a pop sound, which was probably just the house settling, I figured. Thought nothing of it. I then heard a sound like new lumber falling. I know there was no new lumber in the house, but the sound had an echo of new lumber. I put my forearm over my forehead and instantly heard a stern male voice to my right telling me to wake up. I attempted to move my arm and tell whom I believe was my spirit guide I am not asleep. However, I was not able to move. In the next second, my eyes shut. I fight to move, but I am unable to. And I am then grabbed from something behind me, deep within the bed, and pulled and jerked downward. I again hear, wake up. I fight to open my eyes, focusing on each one, seeing the colors gray and black. I scream no, only to hear it deep within me. My lips never moved. I made no sound. I remember telling myself not to scream too loud or I would wake the guest. Then I heard again, whom I believe was my spirit guide, yell, you need to wake them up, you need help. I was finally able to open my left eye. I see my body laying on the bed as I am being pulled violently downward. Again, I scream no, but no sound comes forth. I sense that if I do get to the bottom of this pit, that I will not be returning as myself. The more I'm being pulled, I sense fear, evil, pain, hatred, and pure negativity. Somehow I started clawing my way back up, my hands digging in dirt and roots, first one hand then the other, and I'm free. I lay there, I'm afraid. I was afraid to move. I wait for a second, my brain starts thinking. I move only my left arm down and picked up my phone. I called Jenny. Once she, Jenny, answered, I held the phone to my ear and got the flashlight. I scanned the room, but I knew no one was there. It was all in the bed. However, the door was no longer shut. I jumped up from the bed. I am now crying. I am hurt. How could this happen to me? I'm angry. Why would this happen to me? If something wanted to show me something, it didn't have to be this way. Jenny wants me to go downstairs, but I can't because if I leave the room due to this, then it has won. And if I become fearful of the attic, then what next? I asked Jenny to call me back in 30 minutes to wake me up. She does. Nothing happens. I ask for another 30 minutes, and she calls me again. Nothing happens. I leave to see the guest. You often hear people say that heaven is so wonderful that we can't wrap our brains around just how wonderful it is. I am here to tell you that the place my body was being pulled towards is so bad, dark, evil, and intensely terrifying that you cannot wrap your brain around it. Once you feel it, it never leaves you. I also know that I was only pulled down a few feet. If I was nowhere near the bottom and I felt that much evil, then I can only fathom what it must be like at the bottom. I feel as though something reached up, grabbed my soul, and pulled me under. I since have felt despair and have very little energy. My voice has become monotone. I hugged my family tightly when I got home, thankful to see them again. I will admit that I am curious to know what would have happened if I hadn't fought my way back. I consider myself extremely lucky that I was able to escape. I want to warn anyone who is thinking about sleeping in the attic, your body of course will survive, however, your soul will never be the same. Interesting fact. Looking at my phone log, it shows the following. 6:38 a.m. text message to Jenny. 6:50 a.m. call to Jenny lasting 19 minutes. 7:57 a.m. incoming call from Jenny lasting 32 seconds. 8:29 a.m. incoming call from Jenny lasting 1 minute. I can tell you this, Jenny always is on time, especially when she is worried. She remembers calling me in exactly 30 minutes. If you notice, there's 18 minutes missing from the time I hung up with Jenny at 7:09 and her phone call at 7:57 a.m. Oddly enough, when checking Jenny's phone log, there is no record of me calling her at all or her calling me. Wow, that's pretty intense stuff, you know. It really is. I had goosebumps on my legs the whole time reading that. But when we were talking to them earlier tonight, I mean, she was still totally shook up about it when she was telling us the story. So,
when did she say that happened again?
This was in 2010. So
okay.
September the 19th, 2010.
That's one of the most serious things we've ever heard about in any of the places we've gone to.
Yeah, it truly was. And then the scream that was heard also, that they said it sounded exactly like what you would expect to hear on like on a movie or something, of a banshee screaming, and it was a female voice.
Whispers Estate, definitely, Larry, is somewhere that we've been to several, I think, high-profile paranormal locations. This one, I thought, again, we've been to places and thought we didn't get anything, and we got a lot. Then we've been to places where we've got a lot in person, on video, and on the recorder. We weren't really picking too much up while we were there. And so you and I think we get a little bit frustrated. We're just like, it doesn't really feel that bad in this place. You kind of got a little Velisca feeling.
I did,
while you were there. But explain that.
Yeah, there's a couple times, and it may have been due to the stories that the ladies had told, that I get a vibe in the Velisca house in Iowa, and I had a similar vibe, especially in the attic area in this house. But I couldn't explain it. I really don't get that vibe.
Something didn't want you there, or something was with you?
It's more that feeling that something's not right with the house, that there's that, something maybe a little bit more negative than you experience in most places.
Right. And so, you can tell when you're doing these investigations, kind of the vibe that you're doing in the beginning to the middle, because you get tired, you get a little tired and exhausted, and your mind starts playing tricks on you. And you'll even see coming up in our basement video here in just a bit, we were questioning each other left and right, on, was that you? Was that you? Where's that noise coming from? We didn't even know which side of the room that was coming on. But the shower curtain was pretty freaky. There was one spot in the whole house where I just didn't really feel right. Yeah. And it was weird because...
And that was from the very get-go.
Yeah, right from the beginning. And we walked in there, and I said, man, I don't feel right. And I've never, on any of the investigations that we've done, felt like I've been touched or felt like any physical type of anything whatsoever. And we've been to some cold places and some hot places, and I said sweat a lot. But
and the area you had the feeling in, too, was part of the old doctor's office.
Yes.
And what they think was a room he probably did some surgery.
Yeah, the room that we're in, it's a bathroom now, which it has a shower and a bathroom and a shower curtain in it. They think that some of the surgeries that were done there were ones that also, he performed some illegal abortions. He maybe had lost some kids in that room.
They thought there were amputations as well.
Yes, lots of bad, gory stuff that happened in this room. But at the beginning of the night, you see on the video, shower curtain is closed shut. At the end of the night, I go back in there to face my fears, I guess. Larry's a great at talking me into doing these stupid things, and I go and I sit in this room by myself, And again, I just didn't feel comfortable in there, and I kept getting these like weird feelings on my ears and the back of my neck, and I just didn't like it. And when I left, I don't even know. Again, we're gonna have to see on the video how it happened, but
what happened too
I
was
panned over.
Yeah, you came out of the room and explained how you were feeling. Like you said, you almost had like a cobweb feeling, like you were running in the cobwebs. But so I went in there, and there's really no place to sit in the bathroom. So I was sitting on the john with the lid down, and behind me, I thought it sounded like somebody was taking their fingernails and picking at the plaster on the wall,
right,
or the old wallpaper. So I basically, came out to tell you that, and then that's when we went back in together and noticed the shower curtain.
Yeah, when I went there, I said, "Did you open the shower curtain?" And you said, "I can't wait to rewatch this video, man. This is creepy." We're gonna show you the before, Larry going in there, and then after when Larry went in there.
We're not sure that ghosts are real. Can you give us a sign that you are? That was my thing turning on the speaker. If there's anyone here, you have to make a noise so we can hear you.
You go ahead and keep talking, Larry.
Can you touch one of us to let us know you're here? You can't hurt us, but touch us to let us feel you.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm going to knock on the bed. Can you respond by knocking back twice?
The thing about it is, I know I shouldn't feel creeped out here because this looks like a normal room, man.
Yeah.
When I walked in here earlier, it just was a totally different feeling.
If you're here, can you shut the door and shut us in here? Let's go in that kind of foyer-like by the staircase that she said made her feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't want to be in here anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're looking at that feeling, eh?
Yeah. Hold on, let me get in front of you, bro.
Okay. You really don't like it?
No. Did I leave anything in here?
I noticed this was the...
No, dude, hey, my mouth is fine now.
Is it?
Dude, that's weird.
Maybe we'll pick something up on the recorder.
Oh boy. Okay, so Larry, before we go in here, because this room's creeping me out a little bit. Explain what just went down.
Well, earlier in the night, Bonzi felt like something was touching him in what used to be they believe was the operating room. So he had me check the back of his neck, everything, didn't find anything. And so now it's probably about 2:30 or so?
2:35, yeah.
2:35, something like that. Bonzi decides to go in to the surgery room. And
I didn't decide that. You told me that I had to go in there.
All right, so you went in there. And you come back out, probably after 5 minutes and said, it still feels like somebody's touching you.
It felt like there's people touching my shoulders.
All over.
And my ears, like, it was weird. It's just a weird feeling, it wasn't, I just didn't like it.
So then we traded places. I went in there and I sat down and there's we sat on we put a seat down on the toilet, sit down on the toilet. I'm sitting there for maybe 2-3 minutes, and all of a sudden you can hear, it's like somebody taking a fingernail and scratching on the plaster, and it happens like 5 or 6 times. So I'm thinking, holy crap, so I stood up and turned the light on, and it stopped and didn't do it again. So I'm telling Bonzi this, come back out, tell Bonzi this. He comes back in with me, and he goes, dude, did you open the shower curtain in the bathroom? I said, no, I didn't touch anything else. I just sit down on the stool just like you did. So we ran the video back, because he said, yeah, early in the night, I know that curtain was closed.
And it was closed when I was in there, sitting there by myself.
So, okay, so then...
Because when I walked out, I remember shining the flashlight on there, thinking, okay, just shower curtain's closed, I'm good.
So that would mean, because we just, a few minutes ago, went back and looked earlier in the night, the shower curtain is closed. We've got that on video. So anyhow, it had to happen either between the time you
I
came
walked
out
out
of the
here
bathroom
and you
I
went
walked
in there.
Yeah. So
was it open when you went in there?
I don't know.
Let's go.
But I said on the when I said on the John heard the clicking. I mean, that didn't sound like a curtain opening. It was like clicking.
Well, let's go and show them what we're talking about, dude. This is crazy. We're getting ready to get out of here and buy them. I'm gonna shut this door so it doesn't close on us. Okay, so here it is.
Right on or off?
And this curtain, we're gonna pull the video from earlier in the night, okay? And you can see that this thing is closed on both ends. So Larry, this is moved too.
All the way across.
This side's been moved too.
So before investigating the house, we did a walkthrough with 2 female staff members, and then during that walkthrough, they explained various rooms and what they were used for during the early years of the house.
We noticed that there were 2 areas of the house that the lady seemed a bit uncomfortable with, and they didn't elaborate as to why the areas made them feel that way. The 2 areas were the seance room and in the attic and the basement.
Yep, and it's not uncommon for people to be uncomfortable with these basements and attics in older homes anyway, but the lady seemed a bit more uncomfortable than normal, and when they led us to the particular areas, they pointed out where they were, but they again refused to enter either that basement or the seance room.
And then as the tour of the house went on, the ladies seemed a bit more uncomfortable with, a bit more comfortable when we started.
Yep.
As the tour of the house went on, the ladies seemed a bit more comfortable with us, and when we explained the number of years that we've been investigating the paranormal, they started to open up a bit more.
Yeah, and finally Larry said to them, quote, you both had something happen in this house that you're not telling us, haven't you? And then after a bit more conversation, of course, they told us the story.
Yeah, one of the ladies explained that it was just, she was there in the house. It was actually, I believe, during the daytime, and she was heading down to the basement. It's your average basement steps, and she was 2/3 of the way down the steps when all of a sudden she felt something push her, and the next thing she remembers, she was on the other side of the basement.
Yeah, she said she doesn't remember how she got there. She blacked out.
And she also explained how at the time there was a large block of limestone just at the foot of the basement, and she said that she really doesn't understand if she fell or was pushed or whatever, how she missed tripping over that block of limestone.
Yeah, and when she told us that story, again, they would not go down the basement. They stood at the very top. I don't even think they went around that corner towards that door. I think they stayed in the kitchen area.
They said basically, here's the basement, be careful.
Yeah. That's what they said. And Larry's like, okay. So we ended up going down in the basement, and I feel like between the shower curtain, what happened with that being moved, and what we found in the basement here, Larry, wow.
Yeah, and one more thing she said, too, that when she turned around, realized she was on the other side of the basement, what she believes she saw was just a shadowy figure standing by the basement.
Yeah. I don't know if we see any shadowy things in our video, but you definitely hear some things, and it's just enjoy the video evidence.
I'm going to tell everybody where we're going first.
Yeah, we're going to head down to the basement for a bit.
You may close it behind me?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Can you see?
Yeah. Get your flashlight?
Yeah. This reminds me here so much of the Sally house, where you can see underneath the house.
Yeah. And it goes over here too.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna sit?
I'll sit in these folding chairs.
Okay.
Move one of the others on there.
Here, let me see.
This is tape 3 or session 3. This, you said it's what, about 12:04?
12:04. Yeah, 12:04, 12:05.
12:04, 12:05, and we're down in the basement. So if there's any spirits here, please tell us your name. If you're the one that pushed the lady, tell us who you are and why you did it. Thank you.
You want to sit right here in the middle?
What's that?
Kind of like you do with the side house?
Yeah.
You sit right here. All right, so we're down in the basement now, and I didn't really read anything or see anything about anything bad happening down here. But remember, before we came down here, she said that something bad had happened, right?
Yeah, and she was hesitant to talk about it, but she finally told us that someone was coming down the steps, and they were somewhere near the bottom of the steps when the next thing they knew, they were all the way across the room. And I didn't quite understand this, but they saw like a dark figure across the room at first, and then the next thing they knew, they were across the room, and they wanted to leave, but they said that they saw a dark figure on the other side of the room as well, so they were like trapped in between. But she said that she totally felt like, or the lady totally felt like that she was shoved across the room, and she had to have been, she said, shoved the rest of the way down the stairs. So it was,
And she didn't fall or didn't trip or didn't
No,
hit anything.
no.
But remember, she also said something about she saw something, like, she didn't describe it. Remember, she saw a black figure, but then she saw something else too that just looked not good.
yeah, and it's like she was right in between the two.
Yeah.
And she also said that at the time there was a large like limestone block, and she said for some reason, she doesn't know how, but she didn't trip over it, and as hard as she was shoved, she should have tripped over it, but she didn't.
You think there's any limestone down here?
I saw a couple things that look like limestone. I don't know if you can flip. You got the infrared on.
Yeah. Over there, maybe?
Yeah, in that
To your left?
To my left, you're right. But some of this is kind of hard to tell. It's like coated with concrete now. But I think this may be. No, this is concrete. Yeah, this is all concrete, so it's not limestone.
None of that stuff back under the crawl spaces?
What's that?
None of that by the crawl spaces limestone?
No, this is all concrete as well.
I mean, underneath, like back there. None of
No,
that?
concrete block.
Okay. Bricks, wood.
I don't like this, but there's an axe down here as well.
An axe? Why would there be an axe down here? And a stool. And a mirror.
Yeah, I don't get that.
They didn't say anything about that.
Nope. I'm not sure.
Well, there you go. That's for your EVP session. Why is there an axe down here?
Yeah, exactly.
What does that remind you of again, Larry?
I told you it's realistic.
Now, Villisca doesn't have a basement, though.
It does. But it's
We didn't go down there, though.
No, it's like the old-fashioned fruit cellar. Or, it's just a brick and partially dirt basement, dirt floor. So yeah, it's just kind of it's like a. Can you knock some of those furnace filters off? I'll turn the light out. We won't see you do it. It's like you're never going to get a video, almost like they show themselves when it's like they know. And then audio, I mean, what proof is audio other than you've got sound and voices?
Right.
Anybody can say, you did
Yeah,
that.
you did that. Yeah.
Bang something, slam the door, knock the axe over.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah. It's not like the
Seriously, what was that?
It's not like the floor creaking, did it?
It came over from my right.
I thought it came over here.
No, it came from my right.
Make that sound again. If you belong here, make that sound again.
Do you?
Yeah. From that sound. Let us hear you move.
You hear that?
Say you.
No, it's to my right.
It wasn't you. Let us hear you move.
You hear that?
Say you.
No, it's to my right.
It wasn't you. Let us hear you move.
You hear that?
Say you.
No, it's to my right.
It wasn't you. No,
Would you stop?
And you say you're right, but it came to your left.
No, it's not.
Yes, I'm serious.
I'm telling you, it's to my right. We're gonna play.
In the world we live, there are things that can be explained with science and logic. Then there are those things that are beyond the realm of what is considered scientific and logical. Things that go bump in the night. Strange sounds and ghostly images that occur without warning.
For generations, these types of things have been reported throughout the world. Every city and town has a place that everyone knows not to visit after the sun goes down for fear of coming face to face with the things that make these stories so frightening. Mitchell, Indiana's Whispers Estate is such a place.
Is the veil between the living and the dead thinner at 714 West Warren Street, allowing spirits of the dead to access our world and in turn allowing us the opportunity to experience them?
Or are the strange encounters that are reported simply the result of overactive imaginations? If this is the case, how do you explain the phantom voices and noises that our equipment recorded?
Unfortunately, recordings and stories will never be proof for non-believers because in order to be certain that these things exist, you have to see and experience the strangeness that the supernatural has to offer firsthand.
So the next time you're in Mitchell, Indiana, stop by 714 West Warren Street and find out for yourself. Because, as the old adage goes, seeing is believing.